Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Math with Dr. War. I'm making this quick short video where I want to show you an important resource. Early in the week, a subscriber made a request in the comments where he suggested that I should make a playlist which orders the videos in a sequence for folks to study. And I never really thought about it. I've been making videos for my students from the beginning when I started my channel. So if you go back to many of my earlier videos, they're really structured how I taught. And then once the semester was over, I just started making like additional videos here and there. So if you go to playlists, click right here, you're going to see a new playlist. Now it says updated 2 days ago, which says studying for tasks. So if you click on that playlist, you're going to see the videos in here. Now there are 97 videos in this playlist. I know it's ridiculous, but there are 97 videos. I'm going to try to get you a better view. So in this playlist that is studying for tasks, you have 97 videos. Now this is ordered in the way that I teach my in-person classes and my remote classes. So if you notice, I start off with rational and irrational numbers. I then go to computation of integers, order of operations, evaluating algebraic expressions, and to reinforce that, I then go into plug and chug. I like to show my students plug and chug because sometimes on the task test, it's easy to get an answer by plugging and chugging, like especially when you have to find the zeros of a quadratic. If you don't know how to factor, plug and chug will help you. I also have a video of how to use the TI-30XS multi-view calculator, and I would suggest that you buy a calculator. They're not that expensive, and familiarize yourself with all of the functions so that when you get to the test, you're not like scrambling to figure out where x squared is and where's the square root. After that, I go into the laws of exponents, and I end with a synopsis of the laws. After my students have understand like the power rule, the product rule, the quotient rule, the zero rule, I then move into exponential growth and decay. You will notice that for one topic, there might be 3 videos. The reason for that is that sometimes my students don't understand. I try to find a different way to teach the content so that they can understand. So when you're going through the video and you get here and you go through the first video on exponential growth and decay and you understand it, and if you don't want to, you don't have to go through the other 3. However, you will notice that in each video, I hardly ever use the same problems again. And sometimes when I do a repeat video is because I found new material and I thought it was awesome, so I did a video. After that, you will come on to the polynomials, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Again, see here, I made another video on multiplication of polynomials because I got some new material. After that, we go into radical form versus exponential form, and then operations with fractional exponents. Following that, I go into solving linear equations. Here on the task test, you really need to know how to solve a 2-step, variables on both sides, and linear equations with parentheses. And here, this is an updated video that I did because, again, I found some new material. After that, I have a video of solving radical equations. This is kind of low emphasis. And then I go into word problems. So this is an important video here, learning linear equations, word problems, because with linear equations, not like the Regents where they say solve for x. On the task test, they embed everything in a word problem, and I want you to be familiar with if they embed it in a word problem, are you able to solve the linear equation? After that, we go into word problems. A lot of students don't like these, so you're translating words into expressions. And then it's a lot of modeling expressions such as linear equations, systems of linear equations, also inequalities and system of linear equalities. After that is over, I then move into solving inequalities and also graphing inequalities, which is a simple graphing. After that, I start to bring my students into graphing. And so we do a review session on plotting and reading points. Again, I have 2 videos here because I think I got some new material and I wanted to give my students a really solid foundation. After that, we're going to identify X and Y intercepts. And then I have some word problems. These were a little tough to find. The video is not that long. It was shocking because, this video racked up a lot of, of views. And it was only 3 minutes and 52 seconds. After that, we're going to go on to interpreting and identifying the slope and y-intercept. And then very importantly, we're going to go into slope. On the task test, you have to be able to find a slope given 2 points, find a slope if you're given a graph. You have to be able to find the slope and the y-intercept if they give you a table, and also if they give you a line. And I also did another video because guess what? I found some new material. Next, you have to understand rate of change. This is a new video. Also, finding the equation of a line given a table or graph. After that, you have to be able to understand when you have a linear function versus an exponential function. And then I have identified the equation or function that represents a graph. Next, I am still on graphing, and you have to be able to graph linear inequalities. I have 2 videos on that. This is high emphasis, so you should take a look at it. Again, just remember the aim is to pass your task test, and the aim is not to get all questions correct. It's to get half of the test or more right. So if you don't like this, that's fine. Following that, I have identifying the zeros of a polynomial if you're given a graph. This is pretty easy. And then also if you're given equations, and also creating those equations. I also show how to use the plug and chug method to find the zeros, and also if you want to use your calculator. So there are 4 videos on finding the zeros. And after that, that ends the algebra section. Algebra is 26% of the items on the task test. Now, following that, you have functions. Functions is also 26%. So here you have to identify if a relation is a function, identify if a graph is a function, identify the domain and the range. And then after that, I go into evaluating the function if it's an equation, if it's a graph, and then function is ended. Now, one of the things you have to know that some of the stuff that's found in functions is also found in algebra. And I didn't teach everything in functions because, again, when I taught my classes, I only had 15 weeks, and there's no way you can teach 4 years of high school in 15 weeks. I was honest with my students. I told them that whatever I'm teaching them is 85% of the task curriculum, and the majority of my students pass. After that, I went into geometry, which is 23%. I start out with proportion, and then this is a new video. Someone requested this. If you had to find a missing angle given similar triangles. I made a new video on definitions of an angle, circle, perpendicular line. These are easy questions and usually are on the part of the test that you can't use a calculator. And then I go into volume. Now, this was very difficult for my students, so you're going to notice there's a lot of videos here. So I start out with finding the volume if you're given just a shape. So I wanted to know if my students could just do the mechanics. And after that, I would then go into the word problem. So you'll notice that I do the mechanics first, and then following that, you actually see the word problems. So I start out with volume of a rectangular container and a pyramid, and then notice I have a word problem. Then I have a video of finding the volume of a pyramid. And then the one that gives the students the most hell is anything that has a circular base. So this is finding the volume of a cylinder, a cone, and a sphere. And then after that, I follow up with word problems. Once we got volume under our belts, we then move to population density and density of matter, and then followed by the Pythagorean theorem. Then I move into statistics and probability. I can't remember what percentage this is on the test, but it's much lower than functions and algebra. Oh yeah, I remember now. It's actually 13%. This is 13%. So I start off with a little review on fractions, like can you add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions? After my students got that under their belts, I then move into probability. After that, I go into mean, median, mode, and range, and then we look at box plots, dot plots, histogram, correlation, and can you distinguish between causation and correlation? And then it's a wrap. Okay, then it's a wrap. A viewer, sorry, requested a video on graded response, and also wanted me to focus on estimation. So I made this video, and I think it was very well received because some people are taking the paper-based test rather than the computer test. But this was really helpful for people on the computer as well. So then to end up is we have the task practice test part 1, part 2, and then I started to make practice tests. So I started to make my own 5-question practice test. So there are 2 here. If you're studying for your task math, I would suggest that you come here and start from the beginning and move down. A way to use this playlist is basically if you know something, you could skip it and go to what you don't know. So if you know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers, you can skip that and then move on to order of operations. So if you know something really well, you can skip it. If you don't want to skip it, that's fine. Repetition is key, and the more that you review, the better chances of you passing the test. And remember, you're not trying to get 800, you're trying to get 500, and I estimate 500 is when you can get half of the test correct, half or more. So I always tell my students, aim for 25 questions or more correct, and you will have a high probability of passing the task test. I hope this was helpful. If you have a test date coming up, good luck. If you don't, keep studying. If you know someone out there who is studying to take their task test, please share the channel. If you like the content, please hit the like videos, subscribe, and good luck. Have a great day.